Hey, good news. We have the very first episode from the Well-Architected series as part of the Azure Enablement show for you. In this one, I'm going to be speaking to David Stanford about the Well-Architected framework and giving you an intro to the whole series. Really looking forward to seeing you there. Welcome to the Azure Enablement Show, where we'll be discussing the challenges you and our other tech-savvy customers have encountered. Together, we're going to be talking with experts to find out how they think about these problems, recommended tools and best practices, and the tips they have learned from years of experience that you can use. So today, we're going to be talking about architecting successful workloads on Azure using Well-Architected. And to do that, I wanted to bring my colleague, David Stanford, in. So David, I've been thinking a lot about how do we talk about this stuff? And the only conclusion I can come to is that we really need to talk about this from the customer perspective. And I think the only way I know to do that is to sort of stand in as a customer. I'm gonna try something that I heard works in these videos. I've never tried it before. Let's see if it works. Nope, not doing that. Nope, still not there.
I think that's the one, David.
Nope, definitely not. So I'm going to try the other hand because this obviously isn't working.
Stop. That's the right one.
Okay, so now I know how to turn into a customer. I think I'm going to go back to host mode, and then we should probably back up and talk a little bit about like the well-architected framework and what it's all about.
Well, I'm glad you figured out how the snapping works, David.
Cool. Well, so now that we've got that part down and we're able to sort of portray the customer, like I have a way of switching to customer mode, I think we probably should back up a little bit and talk about the well-architected framework, the basics, the what, the why, the who. So let's just start off with what is the well-architected framework?
Well, it's a set of best practice guidance that speaks to a couple roles in every organization, specifically solutions architects, engineering managers, and lead engineers, and is intended really to help these folks identify and optimize their workloads. More specifically, it's about running your workloads with intention. Let me pull up a slide really quick and we can kind of walk through the framework.
Yeah, that'd be super useful.
To start with, let's take a look at the 5 pillars of the well-architected framework. We'll start at the top with cost optimization. It's really focused on identifying the costs that can be optimized while still delivering maximal value for each workload. Then performance efficiency is really focused on helping you ensure that your workloads can adapt to changes in load. For example, if you have a large event like the Super Bowl, a Black Friday sale, product release, how do you test, monitor, and act in those situations? Reliability is focused on how your workload handles failures and how you recover afterwards. Security, we all know what that is, really. It's really how you protect your workload from threats and bad actors. And then finally, operational excellence is how you deploy your workload to the cloud, how are you managing it once it gets there. Then once you have a good understanding of the 5 pillars, then the next step is to identify the appropriate places to make trade-offs between them to meet your business requirements.
What do you mean by trade-offs?
Well, for example, as you improve your reliability in any given workload, you might start adding additional regions or availability zones, additional backup points, all of which have an impact on your cost. So you need to balance those between how important are the reliability considerations to your workload? What type of SLA are you looking for? And what does your budget look like? And what trade-offs do you make there?
Okay, so that makes total sense to me. So why this whole framework at all? Let's just answer that question straight up.
Sure. So as you think about architecting any particular workload, it can be harder than it looks because you have to identify which trade-offs to make to meet your business requirements. And this really gives you a consistent set of guidance to make sure you're thinking about all the right things.
And when you say thinking about all the things, I think of the word architect as something you do in the beginning, but I get the sense that this is not the whole story.
Absolutely. This is absolutely not intended to be a one and done type thing. You really want to use this throughout the entire life cycle and focus on improving continuously as you go.
So I get right. So that makes sense to me. So I get the sense that it's less about a single architecting, but it's more about being in a well-architected state as much as you can be.
That's right.
Okay, so let's do a lightning round with some frequently asked questions. So David, who can help me if I'm in the middle of trying to work with the well-architected framework and I get stuck?
That's a great question, David. Let's take a look at that slide that I had up before. There's actually a whole ecosystem around the well-architected framework of folks that can actually aid you as you're going through this. So there's several teams from Microsoft that can help, between cloud solutions architects, fast track engineers, just to name a couple specifically. And really the advantage that they bring is that they layer their knowledge and experience in with the best practices provided by the Azure Well-Architected framework to accelerate your workload optimization journey. Along with that, you can get additional recommendations from Azure Advisor. There's content that lives in the Azure Architecture Center that has design principles and reference architectures. And then, of course, we have partner and service offers that you can leverage as well.
Okay.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah, hit me.
How does the well-architected framework differ from the cloud adoption framework?
Oh yeah. So that it's a little confusing, right? Because they're both frameworks, and we talk about them as both being important. The way I think about it is that the well-architected framework is trying to start from taking a workload and how to make that workload successful and thinking outwards from that point, thinking out from the workload. And I think of the cloud adoption framework as something that's more thinking about the general context, what goes on in the central IT org, what goes on in the whole org, and that framework looks from that perspective down into the workload. So to a certain extent, it's the way we start from either from the smallest scope and look out, or from the largest scope and look in. And I think that in my experience, you want to take stuff from both, because both are going to give you the perspective, because we're always doing that all the time. We're always looking from the workload out, and when we're deploying stuff, and we're always looking from the greater context in as we're figuring out how to work in the organization to get the workloads we need on Azure working really well. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you my last question for the frequently asked question lightning round, which is, how do I start with this stuff?
Well, that really depends a little bit on you and what matters the most to you. So we do have a comprehensive set of content in Microsoft Docs that you can leverage, or if you prefer to start from a learning path, you can take a look at Microsoft Learn, which is really an interactive platform that helps you learn new skills. We do have a learning module available there for well-architected. And then, as we talked about in the first question, our partners, our CSAs, our field, all of them can help you adopt this as well. My personal favorite place to start, though, is by taking a well-architected review assessment on the Microsoft Assessments platform.
So that sounds cool too. I realize that we have to end here, but would you be willing to come back in another video, especially if I can do that snappy thing again, and like look at the well-architected review with me?
Absolutely. I would love to run through it with you as a customer and see how a customer might interact with it.
Cool. So I'll look forward to doing that. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you everybody for watching this. We hope it was useful to you, and we'll hope you'll join us in the next video, in which we'll be diving into the well-architected review. Hope to see you there. Take care now.